And you're welcome back. Some agitated staff of Gihok Distilleries are demanding the immediate removal of the Managing Director, Maxwell Kofi Juma. According to them, his incompetence in managing the company has led to a dip in revenues of the distilleries. They are also accusing him of delaying payments of their salaries, SNIT benefits and other entitlements, which they say is affecting their livelihoods. They have therefore mounting pressure. They believe that his removal from office and allowing a new management to take over the company will improve their performance and the performance of the company at large. I want to get more now from Samuel Mbura, who's live for us, gathering all of the details. But first, there's more in this report for you.
The workers who appeared visibly unhappy about their conditions of service gathered outside the premises of the company to register their displeasure. Their demand is for the payment of their salaries, SNIT benefits, Provident Fund, and other entitlements. Despite these demands, they also want the managing director of the company, Maxwell Kofi Juma, removed because of incompetence.
The challenges that we have, our SNIT has not been paid, our Provident Fund has not been paid for almost 18 months now. So this is what we are fighting for. We are not fighting the management and we are not fighting the managing director. So this morning that we have police people on our premises here and then doing that, doing this, we don't know what is happening.
The CIA how they say, yeah demonstration. Yeah, maybe none to toy ye. Na, yeah, papa, obayare, no, kakra na MC. Ebe so adwuma within 2 weeks, and you may be at to turn aquam. Ama akoye kakra fine say no yesi ye pe IMC it on don kwatena say ye betu ya neka na ye ma IMC no en kra adwuma no no mo nya na because 2 weeks ni ye salary come 2 months ni ye ntua ye ka ye MD
ba ye no obuaye isu bebi nu waaye debenti na waaye say because me mawale no wayire ni mao Akam uchai 2 months pay. I didn't throw uchai because me wayire ese me man akoma. Me bon akoma me twa me ba e go school. Wo ne nkro for enjoy. Ya ka chaw sasem we ya wonte.
Although management of Gihok Distilleries were unavailable for response to the concerns of the workers at the time JoyNews visited the scene of protest, one Nana Hima, who identified herself as a sales supervisor, told JoyNews the actions by the staff were unwarranted.
Just wake up and they are doing demonstration against the MD. They should bring their paying slips from last year. They should bring their paying slips for 2018 or 2019, and then you see how much they were taking and how much they are taking now. How much they were taking 2019 and how much they are taking now. Ungrateful people.
So are you saying that their concerns are not legitimate? They needed not to...
Every company is going through challenges. Every company is going through challenges. Not just Gihok. Every company, they are going through challenges. Not Gihok alone.
So how do you intend to solve their problems?
We are solving a problem by increasing our our sales. The sales is not going. If you sell, we bring money, but we are not selling. If you are not selling, how can we give you somebody that you are taking less than 1,000 Ghana cedi? Now you are taking more than 1,000, and you are being ungrateful.
Meanwhile, the workers were later called back to the yard of the company by management for a meeting. Reporting for JoyNews, Samuel Mbura, Accra.
And fortunately, Samuel Mbura has more because he's been monitoring the story some more for us. Samuel, what can you report and what's the latest?
Well, we are back to the company to engage with the management. When we came earlier to speak to the protesters, we did not get the opportunity to engage the management of the company for their response, but I'm fortunate to be joined by the sales manager of Gihok Distilleries, Mr. Nana Kwesi Edubofo, for us to get to the details of it. Nana, just this morning, your workers were in front of your gate protesting. Let's deal with the first issue that has to do with their demand or the call for the removal of your MD They say Mr. Max Kofi Juma is not managing the company well. A reason there are some, you are not able to hit your targets and you are having the current mess where you are not able to pay their salaries.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, I will say this unfortunate incident is by the over-generosity on the part of the MD. The reason I'm saying that most of these people that are agitating over there, they were casual workers. Some of them were not even working. Are you getting it? The MD made them the permanent workers, and these days some of them will receive about 250, 500. This time they are receiving not less than 1,500 cedis a month. And what are they talking about over incompetence of the MD? During the COVID period, we even employ most people that are over there doing that demonstration. We have 565 workers. 565 workers. So if you have these 20 people just loitering over there, coming about saying all these things, because the man was generous to them, it's very unfortunate.
Why would you think 30 or 20 of them out of the over 500 workers that you have here at GEHOC hit the streets or go to the media with these concerns?
Do you know why? The very people doing the agitation, they are from the technical, and part of them are production staff. And do you know why I mentioned the technical? Not too long ago, the board dissolved an IMC, that is Interim Management Committee. When the Honorable Kofi Juma was on sick leave, the board members instituted a committee to steer the affairs in his absence. And the technical manager, right, was one of the IMC committee. Why did the people not stage demonstration when the IMC was in the seat? Are you getting it? Why did they decide to stage upon the assumption of Honorable Masoko Juma today? So what happened 3 weeks ago? That was different from today.
So how long has the MD been away?
He's been away for 2 months. Only 2 months. You know, his sickness was on and off. So with this, the past 2 months, that he saw that he need sick leave so that he can see to himself. Are you getting it? So he's been away for just 6 weeks or almost 2 months.
So why, or what do you think may be the motive behind the demonstrating or protesting the day that the MD who went on a sick leave resumed work?
I don't know. Believe me, I don't know. But if you will tell me if there is any element of sabotage, I will say yes. Because if indeed their grievances are genuine and they want to do it right, why did they wait till the assumption of MD today?
Where is the sabotage coming from?
Believe me, I will say it rightly and I will say it once again. The sabotage is coming from the IMC, the Interim Management Committee that was instituted by the Board of Directors, that was dissolved last night.
Why do you think so?
Oh, why do I think so? Why were the people did not stage the demonstration 3 weeks ago or yesterday that decided to do it today? Why do they decide to do demonstrate today, but not when the IMC was sharing the affairs of the company?
You think someone is interested in the MD's position?
I'm telling you, someone is very much interested, especially the FC. And you know the ironic part of the whole situation? That FC was employed by Honorable Kofi Juma 2 years ago. In fact, he brought his application 2 years back. He was begging the man to have a work for him because he's not working and things are not very right with him. Now, is that the way you need to treat your employer? Somebody that give an employment and they ask you to hold for the fort for me. Why someone sick leave? Is that how we need to repay kindness?
All right, so let's move to the issues about their outstanding salaries. I was told by some of these your workers that they have not been paid for 2 months. Is that correct?
It's not the truth. We'll be paying last month's salary this month. And mind you, this month has not ended. So why do you say the company owe you 2 months? It was last month, and we are paying this week. So where from the 2 months that they've not been paid?
So you don't owe them any outstanding...
Nobody owes them any outstanding salaries as I speak. Nobody owes them. Nobody owes them.
If that's the case, why would they come and peddle what you are saying on truth to the public?
I don't know. Mine was said to we have 565 employees here. And did you see even 50 people doing what they are doing? And when you walk into our premises, were there any agitation whatsoever here?
And there were reports that police came. They actually stormed here. The media reports that I read stormed here to disperse them.
You know your sensationalism when it comes to media. You always want to create a mountain out of molehills. There was no storming whatsoever. You know, mind you, Police people were custodian of the peace, of our peace. So when the people were loitering about, probably they were passing by and they saw a group of people making that noise. For them, it's their bit to see what is happening. Why are they doing that? So they drove in and they asked them to calm down. It is not that they stormed to calm anything, because there was no agitation. There were no demonstration going on. I'm an employee. We have various employees around. We have 565. Do you see 565 people agitating? Did you? My station have the greatest number of employees. That's the sales department. And I can bet you don't even have a single sales member among the agitators. So heard from this. Why are they from only technical and whatever?
So your general conviction is that someone is using them as a smokescreen to champion his agenda?
My dear, that's the truth.
All right. So their Provident Fund,
yes,
SNIT benefits, is it a fact that it has been outstanding for the past 18 months?
For 18 months, it may not be true. You know, the FC, the man left you to hold the fort for him. If indeed there was this commitment that you should make, why were you not doing it? And mind you, the board members or the IMC ever reported to Honorable Kofi Juma that there was these challenges. They never reported to him until today. They never reported all these things to him till today. So why are they staging the demonstration upon his return? Why do they not say the demonstration during the IMC period?
So do you intend to take action against these workers who staged the protest today?
No. In fact, the MD was here this morning, Honorable Kofi Juma. By the grace of God, he's fit, he's been cleared, he's wonderful. He came in and he mentioned to them that, in fact, he's going on an assignment. Upon his return, that is next week, any grievances of them, he will meet it.
In an earlier conversation I had with the MD, that was via phone, he told me he was surprised by the actions of your employees. Yes. You are equally surprised by that?
I'm very surprised. Very surprised. Why is he saying he was surprised? Because the board members were there, the IMC, the committee, interim management committee were there. You never communicated to him that there was these, challenges. Are you getting it? They never said anything offset to him upon his return today. So what are you talking about? It is not a sabotage? What will you call this?
All right, finally from me.
The reason why I'm saying it was a sabotage, or it is a sabotage, is this. The IMC people, they are in here. If indeed you have the management, the MD at heart, and you are working from a good place, you could have kind of people, what are you doing? Why did you not present to us your petition? That you wait till the MD assume office that you are doing. This would have let everybody know that indeed they are there for the MD. But these IMC people, they are there, and the people who are seeing the demonstration, they are just looking at them like that. What does it mean?
So do you think that with the resumption of office by the MD, something should be done about this interim committee that was set to take...
They are no more. They've been dissolved.
Yeah, I know they have been dissolved. So the members are still here, right?
They are still working.
So do you think their presence wouldn't hinder the progress of the company? So far you have identified that perhaps, or they are behind the sabotage?
No, not at all. Not at all. Their presence is not going to sabotage any workings around Rukupija. Mind you, during COVID time, we were even employing people. Some people lay off some workers, some entities were closed down, but we were employing people and paying them. Are you getting it? I can bet you and say to you, in fact, our employment rate, in fact, increased during that period, during the COVID period. Nobody was sacked. Nobody went home. We paid each and everybody till today.
What are the current challenges facing GIHOC?
Challenges we are, an entity, even if Ghana government is on, I am a bailer. What will be the essence of GIHOC? The reason being that there is, we import our bottles and stuff like that. Are you getting it? So once you receive more of our bottles, we'll be producing a bottled drink. So when they tell you we are not working and they are not producing to capacity, we have G-Tot. We are producing G-Tot. Are they not part of the GIHOC product? The fact that we are not producing more bottled drink does not mean we are not working. And if you are not selling, how are we able to be paying them?
So, Blessed, you had the sales manager here at the GIHOC Distilleries, Mr. Nana Kwesi Edubofo there. is dismissing the claims of outstanding 2 months arrears. Though he accepts that there are some outstandings when it comes to the provident funds as well as the SNIT, he says, or he senses some sabotage where some people within are trying to use these employees from the production unit as smokescreen, technical unit to champion their agenda. If you don't have further questions, I'll hand over back to you in the studio.
Okay. My colleague Samuel Bura there giving us the latest on this. Definitely expect more of that interaction later in our subsequent bulletins. But from GIHOC, there's a need for us to also talk about another state corporation, because after almost 2 years of piloting, the Electricity Company of Ghana has fully operationalized its cashless payment system and is no longer receiving cash payments at all of its 300 ECG offices across the country. Customers now requiring to either purchase power or pay their bills will be required to either make a digital payment via mobile money or you have to do that at the bank. Let's bring in Fred Bimbo Johnson. He speaks for the Electricity Company of Ghana for the Accra West region. Thank you, Fred, for your time. Let's start off with this innovation. Why go cashless at this time?
You are blessed, and thanks for having me. So the ECG has been on a drive to go digital with most of our patients for a while now. So there are several introductions we've made in some of the softwares we use. Now, one key introduction we've had or we've made in the past 2 years was the introduction of a mobile app, which we call the ECG Power App. And what we've been doing over the period is that even though we had a system which had introduced this, we had always told our customers that this app was on a pilot basis. So over the period, we have been taking some views from our customers on their challenges as far as they use this app. We've generally been collating these and working on them. Now, thankfully, we have a very enhanced and new mobile app out, and this app is able to help customers to do so many things which they couldn't do in the past. So now, aside you being able to transact with us from the comfort of your home, right, you are also able to use several payment platforms. So if you have a MasterCard, if you have a Visa, if you have a mobile money wallet, you're able to now transact with us. Through this app, you're able to check your transaction history and your consumption history as well. Now, if you have any complaints or if you have any faults through this app, you're able to now communicate with us. And interestingly now also, there are some instances where some customers use the app to transact, don't get the credit onto their meters. Now, this app makes it possible for you to seek a refund of the amount that's been deducted in such an instance. So it's new and it's enhanced. And once this is ready, it means that we can now launch our full program of going digital. And that means that ECG now is not accepting cash payments in many of our offices.
Yeah, but
you need to buy credit.
But you've tried this before. And the last time there was some challenge of a sort where we saw a system shut down. Are you anticipating that some of these challenges may happen again? Because this is new.
Well, so there are two different issues. Now, we had a technical pitch, but that wasn't to do with the payment platform.
Right.
But with this one, all we are saying is that whatever it is that you as a customer would come to our office to do, whether you are coming to buy credits onto your prepaid meter, you are going to pay for bills, your postpaid bills, you can actually do this in the comfort of your home. So you don't need to come to our office to do this. Once you have the ECG app, you're able to do that on there, and it's easy to download either from Play Store or from the App Store. Or you can also use the *226# hash. *226# hash, that also gives you access. Now, if you, for any reason, have to come to our office to transact with us, you're saying that now you are not taking cash, you'll have to deal with us through the mobile money wallet. So regardless of the network you're on, whether you're on Airtel, Tigo, Vodafone, or MTN, once you come in there, you'll have to have your cash on this electronic platform, and then you'll be able to transact with us. So we're not doing cash payments, and we've now moved totally towards digital payments now.
Okay, so let's be clear on this. If someone has cash and brings it to your office, the implication is that you're not going to accept that, correct?
Well, the implication is that we're going to advise you to load that onto your mobile money wallet, and then you'll be able to transact with you. But we are trying to reduce the level of human interaction or interference when it comes to cash receivables. And also, there are other risks fact, risks are available when it comes to dealing with cash. So it's something we're trying to do with. Also, as a company, one thing we're trying to do with this arrangement is to make sure that our revenue collection and mobilization exercise is really more effective. And once we are going digital, it means that we're able to monitor it very well, know what comes in, whether there are any loopholes. So if you came in with cash, we would walk you through the process and advise you to load that onto your mobile money wallet before you can make payments.
Your services are nationwide, at least most parts of the country. We have the Electricity Company of Ghana operating there. And you know that includes some rural communities where the people may not be conversant with the technicalities or the digital platform that you've created. How are you making up for that? Are you assigning some officers to create more awareness, or how do you make up for those who are not, of course, savvy in terms of going about the application?
Well, we factored all these in our rollout. So what we've done is we've trained all our staff in all district offices. So if you walk into any of our offices and you have any challenge with either downloading the app, with using the short code, or generally with using any of our systems, these staff would help you through it. So for those who are not able to either download the app or have it on their phones, or even use the short code, then you treasury executives will walk you through the process of payment. So there's nothing to worry about. Any issues you have, any concerns you have, in all our offices, we have help desks set up. And these officers, they are trained to assist our customers through this new phase of payment you've introduced.
Okay, so if you're completely going cashless, now there's the issue about some of the customer expectations that you'd be dealing with, because customers or your clients out there will definitely have concerns in terms of clarity and how to go about their activities. Do you intend to meet the general public, or perhaps carry out some sort of sensitization or awareness, or some sort of public fora just to educate the public on some of these new features that the application will have, and some of the services that people can access?
Well, so as I mentioned, this is just the first week of implementation. So there's a grand plan for our rollout. But as part of the groundwork we are doing, as I said, we have a help desk available in all our offices. So for any customer who walks in there, we are not going to be stranded. Not only are we giving you information on exactly what we are doing now, we're also going to walk you through how to either get the app on your phone. We'll help you out if it's the short code you could use. Because the thing with the short code is that if you don't have a smartphone, it means you cannot have the app on your phone. And so in this case, you are allowed to then have the short code, which is *226#. It works just like the app, and then you're able to transact with us. If for any reason at all you are not able to use any of these, then it means that officers they will have to use the system to send you a prompt which would authorize the payment for whatever transaction you are there to do. So we have enough help in our various offices. We also have a plan to engage various stakeholders and it's something that's ongoing.
In the event that you have these platforms going down, and of course someone has that happening beyond or at a time when the banking halls are not open, for instance, that could create a challenge in terms of having access to power. You agree?
Well, it's obviously will be a challenge, but what we've done over the period is we've been slow in getting to that point, and it's because we've tried to tie all the loose ends before announcing that. So as a company, we have a team that's on standby. At any point that there's any challenge, we will hope to be able to bring it back as soon as possible. But for now, based on the technical reports we have and the assurances we have, it should be a smooth run for us.
Since this is customer oriented, I'm being prompted now that the phone lines will be on the screen so that a few people could, of course, calling in and just ask for clarity on this new feature or this new decision that you've taken to go cashless. But how is this also generally, while we wait for a few calls to come through, how is this going to feed into the general efficiency and operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana?
Well, you know that for a while now, we've been on a drive to improve our revenue mobilization. Over the past 1 month, we came to various communities and into various homes, attempting to collect all the debts that were owed us. As a company, we retrieved about 3.1 billion Ghana cedis out of the 5.7 billion. And that's as part of that drive, yes, internally, we are seeking to use this to make our revenue collection even more effective. Just to also add to it, after the campaign we just ended, for the last week of every month, as a company, we are going to come out into all communities to again check out for persons who are engaged in illegality. So if there's anyone in your community, in your area, in your hood, who is engaged in an illegality, the advice is that alert us so that once we come, we're able to fish them out. But otherwise, all staff will be on the field as well.
Okay.
And as we did.
Right. I understand Fidelis is joining us. Fidelis, why are you calling us from? Yes, and what's your question, briefly?
Okay, I'm calling from Kwawu.
Okay.
In the Eastern region. I've been following the conversation, and I'd like to find out what of interior communities that do not even have access to network, how do they intend to go past that challenge too?
Okay, Fidelis, maybe you're now tuning in, so I'll let Fred deal with that. We'll pick a few more callers. Okay, so Fred, just let's quickly deal with that whilst we pick up other calls. But you can also call with the numbers that you have on the screens now. The issue about communities, for instance, he's calling from the Eastern region, concerned about those in the rural areas.
I don't know if I got it clear, but he was asking if there are communities without...
yes, for instance, there are communities without network. You know, or aside the digital platform, you're saying that you can pay through Momo. He's saying that what if there's a network challenge in some of these rural areas? That's his question.
What I would say is if there are any peculiar issues, customers just need to go to our offices. You know, I mentioned that we set up help desks in all our offices across the country. We have over 300 offices. So where there are any peculiar issues to do with any particular location, please don't hesitate to be in our office, and then we have our staff who are trained and who will take you through.
Okay, Benjamin is also joining us. Ben, what's your question?
Yeah, my question is, in the cashless, does it affect smart ECG or postpaid or prepaid?
Okay, you're asking if this will apply to prepaid customers or postpaid. That's your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Fred, what's the response to that?
So the Power App, as we have it, actually is for all customers. Now, if you're a smart prepaid user or customer, you're able to use the app to buy credits directly onto your meter. If you're a postpaid user, what you're able to use the app to do is that you're able to pay from the convenience of your home, your office, wherever you are, with this app. Now, for persons who are not on the smart meters, they cannot use the app to buy directly on. But what we are saying now is, before they would have had to come to our office, use cash to pay for the transaction for us to give them to sell the power to them. That's where we are saying that now if you came or if you come to our office, we are going to sell this power to you, but then we are not taking cash because we want cashless. We have to pay with mobile money wallets. So for users of our smart meters, yes, you can use the app to buy directly onto your meters without coming to our office. And anytime I mentioned the app, I also meant.
Hello, Fred. Okay, we'll reconnect with Fred shortly, but Nana Prempe is also giving us a code now from Kumasi. Nana Prempe, what's your question?
Yeah, please, I would like to ask whether the cashless payment applies to the private vendors, private vendors of the prepaid electricity. I would like to know.
Okay, you're asking if this will apply to the vendors. Oh, yes. Okay, so if you're the one selling the power, what then happens to you? That's the question you're asking. Okay, so Fred is on with us. Fred, just as you, of course, we lost you briefly on the last point you're making, but then as you address that, there's a question now about the vendors. What then happens to the vendors? Are you going to deal with them on a cash basis? Because these are people who deal with quite a large sum of money.
Well, when it comes to vendors, they are third parties and they are working outside our system. Basically, this communication is to the effect that if you come to our offices, and I mentioned that we have about 300 offices started across our operational areas. In those offices, we are not taking cash. But obviously, once you go to private vendors, these are persons who have bought the power and who are selling. And so they are allowed to take the cash. But for the system we are using, we are not accepting cash again in our offices. So once you come First of all, most of the transactions we do, as I've been saying throughout, it's easy and it's possible for you to do that without even coming to our office. But if there is a need for you to come to our office to transact, then you have to do that in a cashless mode. But for the vendors, they can't take the cash because they are private.
Okay, Fred, let's just do two last calls and then we'll wrap it up. Maxwell is joining us from Lakeside. Maxwell, what's your question?
Yeah, my question is, it's been a while now. Some of we, the customers, are unable to check prepaid balance. And more or less, whenever you go to a vendor, they tell you maybe they can't check your balance for you. So I want him to rectify or maybe give us a clue what's going on, because some of the vendors are not able to check on our balance for it, meaning they want you to buy more instead of checking your balance before you make any payment.
Okay, Maxwell. Fred.
I'm struggling to hear the question.
Yes, so his question is about checking prepaid balances. It's becoming a challenge for some of them using the application because he feels that the vendors want you to buy more, a reason for which they're not allowing you to check your balance.
Well, if you want to check your balance, as I mentioned, this enhanced app allows you to do so. So it gives you a history of your it gives you a history of your balance, of your transaction and all. So it's one of the new and enhanced feature of this new app. So you're able to do that on the app. I think you mentioned that vendors are not able to allow them.
Yes.
If I heard you right.
That's the point he's making.
Yes, if you want such information, you would easily get it from our district offices. So you may want to visit the office if you want, say, a history of your consumption. If you don't get it through the app, or if you don't use the app to get it. But otherwise, the app allows you to get this history, and then also at our various district offices.
Yeah, but in this case, how about postpaid?
How about who?
Postpaid meters.
Well, for postpaid, how it works is that we give you a bill and then you pay for it. And so once you get your bill, you're able to then pay for this bill through the app. And so you have to have a certain bill you are paying for. But previously, if you had your bill, you may have had to come to our office to now seek to make those payments. And we are saying you don't need to go through the traffic, join a queue just to pay a bill. You can use your app and then make those payments to us, and it'll reflect it in your account the next time we send you a bill. So immediately reflects in your account, but once we send you a new bill, we will see that you've actually recognized those payments on your account. Also, we are working closely with banks, and so you can also walk into any bank if you have a check and make a payment over the for ECG, and they'll take you through the process, because our payment platforms have been tied in with all the commercial banks. And that makes it possible for you to make payments to ECG through the banks.
Let's do the very last caller, Samson, joining us from Taifa. Samson, what's your question?
I want to ask, with regards to the app, we tried to download and try to do the payment on Saturday, but it couldn't work. And we tried yesterday. We even went to the office to solve the issue. And if we want to pay through mobile money too, they said the service is currently not available. So I don't know whether they did a pilot of this and tested it before, putting it on a general platform, because it's a challenge. And now if they come and you have not paid, would they, cut off your line because you are owing and all those things?
Okay, Samson, can you take the question again so I'm clear on what you're asking?
My question is, we tried the app throughout the weekend, starting from Friday, because they wrote this over Thursday, but we tried it throughout the weekend and even yesterday. It couldn't work. We had to go to the center, and it still has an issue. If you try paying through mobile money too, you have the same issue. So my question is, was this, this payment platform, was it piloted, before it was rolled out to the general public? Because it seems to have an issue. And if they come and you are owing, because you cannot pay through the mobile money or the platform that they have provided, are they going to cut your line?
Okay, yes, I get the question you're asking. For piloting, of course, the sources, and it's clear that the piloting was done. But let me leave that to Fred. The issue now is about those who are getting frustrated. They are not able to access the platform. And I recall somewhere last week or about 2 weeks ago, the platforms were not working. And in fact, that's the feedback you get when you go to some of the front desks of ECG and also try using the platform. So are you certain that this will work? And he's also asking about the piloting.
Well, I'm certain that it is working. If you had the time, probably you could have given it a try live. But what I would say is this: where there are any challenges, there is actually a team that's standing by and ready to resolve them. So if anyone has any challenge, the help desks in our various offices should be able to sort you out. As you are aware, this journey to being to going cashless has been on for a while. We have been piloting for several months now, and so we are aware of what the difficulties are, and we've been able to largely resolve most of them. However, if anyone has any unique challenge, as I keep mentioning, we have help desks and persons trained in our various offices. So just interact with that.
Okay, but in this case, his concern is that if I'm not able to use the application, the platform, then my lights will be taken off by your officers who would come around, obviously.
Is it to pay for it? Because
yes, to make payment. So for instance, if you're a postpaid user, for instance, and you have your bill, now you cannot pay physically, correct? You need to do that through the application or to use the bank. He's saying that most of your application centers are down. That's his feedback as of last week. So in that case, you're going to take away his power, correct?
So, Blessed, what's happening with that? So this hasn't actually changed any of how customers interact with us. Basically, what's happening now is that before, would you have come to our office with cash to pay? Now we are saying if you come, you are taking Momo instead of cash. Now, beyond the app, we have the short code, which is *226#, and all these platforms are working. So if for any particular instance, let's say the network has a challenge, I don't know how that may explain why one would not want to pay his or her bill, because like I said, even when on your phone you're not able to use any of these platforms, if you come to our office, our staff would take you through, send you a prompt to authorize, and then you'll be able to do the payment from your phone. So it shouldn't be a challenge. Yes, we are working with the telcos on this, so it's possible that at some particular time there may be some telecom challenges. But even then, our staff are trained to be able to help you through with whatever difficulties you have.
And for those who do not want to pay the e-levy?
Interestingly, with this app, the good news is that you only pay us for the amount you owe. So
really? That's amazing. Without the e-levy.
Yeah, that's actually one good news.
Right. Yes. Okay. Thank you for saving us 1%. That's fine. Fred Mabel Johnson, thanks for joining us here on the JoyNews channel. Grateful. He's the PRO for the ECG, the Accra West region. Let's talk about the Attorney General, Godfred Nami-Yewa, this afternoon, because there are concerns about the law regarding bail grants to illegal miners. In his view, the 3,000 cedi set as a bail for arrested illegal miners is too little, enabling culprits to get off the hook easily. He's been speaking exclusively to my colleague, Kojo Yankson.
As a nation, it's also important to place on record that until 2019, there has not been the expression of sufficient revulsion against illegal mining. In my respectful view, there had not been a sufficient demonstration of our disapproval or revulsion for illegal mining. I say so because the ESWA legal regime, part of which still prevails, the Minerals and Mining Act at 703, until 2019, had only very lenient corruption punishment regime for Galamsey. Indeed, for the offense of buying and selling minerals without licenses, the penalty was 3,000 penalty units or imprisonment for a maximum term of 5 years. And for the very heinous offense of undertaking a small-scale mining operations without licenses, the punishment was a paltry 1,000 penalty unit or imprisonment for a maximum 3 years. And so clearly, it was not deterrent enough, and criminals were let off the hook in the sense that they would be sent to court. The judge who had the discretion to impose the final penalty, of course, or imprisonment, will impose a fine. And even if imprisonment was imposed, or just for a term up to 3 years. Yeah. So the government today, the MPP in 2019, sought to take the fight against illegal mining a notch higher and prescribed much stiffer punishment for engaging in illegal mining, and it completely removed the option of a fine. So the current punishment regime prescribes that if a Ghanaian engages in illegal mining operations without a license, as undertakes a small-scale mining operation without a license, the punishment is a minimum 15 years in prison, maximum 25 years in prison, coupled with penalty of about 30,000 penalty units, a fine of 30,000 penalty units. So clearly, it's much deterrent and a complete departure from the situation that prevailed before. For a foreigner, a non-Ghanaian, undertaking mineral operation without a license, attracts incarceration of at least 20 years and then maximum 25 years. And so coupled with a fine of at least 100,000 penalty units. So I think that in terms of a demonstration of our disapproval or revulsion for illegal mining, it is this government that has really done it. That to start with. Now, various questions then arise as to the implementation of it. And I think recently I have been updating the public as to how yes.
One of the things you brought to the public's attention is the fact that something very strange happens when some of these cases end up in court. First of all, some very lenient bail conditions are set in some cases, right, which result in a lot of the culprits absconding. You then have this, or either absconding or returning to the illegal mining. You then have those cases that actually are seen through to the end, and then the judge implements the old sentencing regime, right, with people walking away with just a fine.
Right. Okay, so I think that, yes, it is not all doom and gloom, as you seem to say, and I would like to highlight some of the positives. Indeed, in October 2022, there was a publication in the newspapers of an update on the prosecution of illegal mining, and it was recorded that there had been sentencing of about 120 people or so, if my memory serves right, just in the Eastern region alone. But of course, also pertinent to indicate that out of the over 120 or so people that had been sentenced and were serving term, many of them were under the old punishment regime. Right. But of course, it was also recorded that between January 2021 and October 2022, as many as 33 persons had been convicted and sentenced under the current punishment regime, under Act 995. Out of the 33 persons who had been sentenced under Act 995, 11 of them were foreigners. So that's the record, and it shows that clearly people are being prosecuted and convicted and also sentenced under Act 995. Now, I again indicated that there was an error on the part of some courts whereby instead of imposing sentences under Act 995, the erstwhile punishment regime was applied. And for me, that constituted a flagrant violation of the law, was insupportable, and had to be set aside. So I had occasion to instruct the secondary office of the Office of Attorney General to institute proceedings to quash the sentencing imposed in the case Republic versus Zheng Li, 2 Chinese persons and 2 Ghanaians, whereby the persons were sentenced to a fine. Right. And the High Court of Secondary upheld our application, and the people, fortunately, after having been sentenced, had actually taken steps to escape, because they knew that the judge had done the wrong thing. Right. But with the cooperation of national security, we were able to apprehend them. And the Chinese persons were brought back to the court. The Ghanaian persons were also brought back to the court and were sentenced under the new punishment regime set out in Act 995. Right. And the record shows that the Chinese persons were sentenced to a term of 20 years in prison, and they're currently serving the term, whereas the Ghanaian corporates were sentenced to a term of 15 years. So yes, we have had all the challenges. Presently, there is this instance of 2 cases in the Upper East region, and the Upper East region is actually one of the regions which has the lowest number of galamsey cases. They have about 3 galamsey cases pending now. But before these 3 galamsey cases pending, 2 cases had been adjudicated by the court in Bogatanga, and unfortunately the old punishment regime was applied rather than what is mandated by the new law at 995. The Upper East Regional head of the Office of Attorney General is undertaking processes to set aside that sentence as well and ensure that they are punished accordingly.
So these can be corrected?
It can be corrected, but it lends itself to enormous difficulties and challenges. I cited the instance where the Chinese persons were actually in the process of escaping, where national security had to be relied on to apprehend them and for them to be sent back to court for sentencing. So we have these instances now. And yes, I must also indicate clearly that now there are about 119 galamsey cases pending around the country. In fact, today, even one, a fresh action, is being filed in the Circuit Court in Koforidua. The regional head indicates that yes, it will be filed. I think that we clearly require the cooperation of the judiciary. Yes, I have placed on record the fact that the judiciary is doing its best because they have sentenced quite a number of people, especially in the Eastern region. We had over 120 people, as I said, sentenced. I think 187 actually, 187 people sentenced for offences related to illegal mining, out of which 33 were actually sentenced to terms more than 15 years. But there's clearly a need for us to improve the processes of justice delivery. There's a need for greater expedition to the disposal of cases. The practice whereby bail is granted on very lenient terms, clearly unwarranted, because the reality is that immediately the bail is granted, the perpetrators of the offense go back to illegal mining. And in many cases in the Eastern region, most of the accused persons have absconded. And that accounts for the delay.
Right.
Because you cannot have a trial in absentia. The accused persons must be apprehended and brought back and all that. Even if you have a trial in absentia under the process is set out in Article 9 of the Constitution, yes, it is of no moment when the accused persons are at large. Exactly. So the list of cases I have, about 50 cases pending in the Eastern region. I have about, say, 22 of them where accused persons have absconded. And that is really attributable to the grant of bail.
Right.
So,
may I ask, this job of getting the judiciary on the same page when it comes to the sentencing and even how they handle bail and so forth for these cases, that's a job that comes to you as Minister of Justice, am I right?
Yes.
So what are you doing?
Right. So first and foremost, I think we are a democratic nation. Our constitution is regularly interpreted by the Supreme Court. Recently, there was a decision in Martin Pebu against the Attorney General about 3 or 4 years ago, where the Supreme Court held that every offense is bailable. I find that, with all respect, very much of a challenge, because every society ought to construe its laws in accordance with the specific circumstances prevailing in the country in question. And we ought to show greater as I said, revulsion or abhorrence for certain offenses. And it does not serve the public interest if every offense is bailable. And offenses as egregious as armed robbery, galamsey and all, which have a very devastating effect on the entire
And women are known to be the main actors in Ghana's micro, small and medium enterprises, a sector that has been described as the anchor on which Ghana's economy hangs. But over the years, these women have not been recognized enough, as little or no attention has been paid to them. In our labor series today, Aisha Ibrahim spends time with some traders at the Makola market.
It's 5 a.m. and the business district of Accra is bustling with a flurry of activities. It is said the early bird catches the worm.
Women contribute a lot to the Ghanaian economy, but little attention is often paid to the struggles that women go through. Today, we put a spotlight on a typical Makola market woman and the struggle they go through daily to put food on the table for their families.
These women are here early to make enough sales before the sun is up. Meet Adole, a trader at Makola. She has been raising her 3 children alone after losing her husband 10 years ago. Her petty trading business puts food on the table for her children and also caters for other needs. So there's really no time to rest.
When I wake up, I prepare my kids for school, prepare food for the house, and then set off to do my petty trading. It hasn't been easy since my husband died 10 years ago. I pay all the bills, including light and water. I also pay the rent. It's really difficult.
Besides doing this job for money, Adole says she finds fulfillment in waking up early to sell groceries to her customers. Adole thinks life could be better if there was support from somewhere.
Share 5 million. A share 7 million. She be on the last kotoku agbonium, probably an 8 million. Bibi nium no 1.6 million. Sebe kotoku 10 million. First share na kan probably an let too much. We
beg government to help us at least reduce the fuel prices so that it can reflect in our trade.
Her story is not different from her fellow traders. Kwale is a fishmonger. She has been doing this business for over 30 years. Since her mother introduced her to the business, she says it has been of immense support to her family. But sometimes business is bad and she goes home without making any sales.
You can see that things are very expensive, so the profit has reduced.
Small and medium-scale enterprises contribute about 70% of Ghana's gross domestic product. Women in the service subsector in wholesale and retail trade contribute 55% of this figure. Among their myriad of problems include access to credit due to lack of collateral, inadequate savings needed for equity payment required for loans, and the cumbersome bureaucratic procedures for accessing formal credit facilities.
It hasn't been easy at all helping my husband to take care of the kids. Sometimes you need to take loans, and if you don't work hard to settle the loans, you end up being arrested by the police.
But the women are not daunted by these challenges. They go through life with their heads held up high, grinding daily to support their families. Aisha Ibrahim, Joy News, Makola Market.
And be sure to get more of that story on all of our social media handles and at myjoyonline.com. Now, remittances from Ghana's diaspora remains a critical point for the development of the country. Ghana is amongst the list of largest recipients of remittances in the sub-Saharan African region. Flows through official channels have increased from some $17.6 million in 2007 to an estimated $3.8 billion in 2018, equating to some 7.4% of our GDP. So that shows how crucial money is coming through from abroad critical to our country's development. But the Council of Bono and Ahafo Association, North American Associations, they are indicating that they want to harness this potential and resources of their compatriots in the diaspora, which is aimed at developing and addressing the special needs of their people, focusing on healthy living and other economic issues facing the Bono and the Ahafo region. So in a bid to give boost to this agenda, there's a homecoming event for all Bono and Ahafo diasporans, and these indigents, some of their leadership are joining us in studio now. Samuel Tando is chairperson of the Council of Bono and Ahafo Associations in North America. Augustine Bahin is the general secretary for that group. Welcome, gentlemen, to our studios.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back home,
yes,
by the way. And let's first of all talk about the Bono and Ahafo region. What would you say is unique about this area? Let me start with you.
I think if you look at Bono and Ahafo, it's mainly agricultural area.
Right. Mm.
And recently, minerals, gold has been found. But basically, the people that are engaged in agriculture.
Agriculture, that's the main potential.
Yeah.
And we know that there are some tourist potentials in the region as well. I can talk of the Kintampo waterfall.
Monkey Sanctuary.
Oh, there are more actually.
Yeah, there are more.
So now you want to harness the resources you have in the diaspora to develop that part of the country. Let me come to the chairperson of the group, because you know that many of you in the diaspora, normally when you get good opportunities out there, you don't want to come home. So why have you decided to focus on?
In 2003,
right,
we decided to come together. We had various associations in various states.
Right.
Now we decided to come together and form one umbrella called Cubana.
Okay.
Now under the Cubana, we've done a lot, which I'll enumerate in a few minutes.
Right.
Yeah. When the regions were divided into three, the associations decided to stay together. So we have the Ahafo, we have the Bono, and then we have the Bono East.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So when the new regions were created, there was a split, or
no, we decided to stick together.
Oh, okay, rather come together against what was happening back home.
Yes.
The fact that traditionally that area is being divided into three.
Yes.
So you decided to form a new group in the diaspora.
No, what happened is we had one association before the split.
Right.
But when the split came, we thought that what unites us is more than what divides us.
Right.
So we remain as one unit. We didn't divide along the political lines here.
Lines that happen. So what kind of help have you been offering to your people?
Yeah, we've been able to build a school at a village called Ayakomaso. Right. That costs us about $101,000. We've been sending medical equipment to hospitals, especially Sunyan Hospital. We've sent medical equipment to them. Beds, bed sheets, medical supplies. During the COVID, quickly we organized and sent equipment worth $8,000 to them. We've also recently we've decided to come together and send medical team, medical outreach to Duyankwanta Hospital, where right now, as I'm talking, they are having surgeries, eye problems, leg problems, everything, hernia and other things. We've also brought in 3 incubators, and one is going to Goso, one is going to Atebubu, and the other one, New Drobo. Hither to that, we also brought some medical supplies to Wanfie. Yeah, we sent some medical supplies to Wanfie. There are a lot of things that
you've been doing in the background.
Yes, yeah.
But many would say, Mr. Bahin, that well, the first area to tend to when the decisions or issues of development comes up should be government. That naturally would have been the position. But why have you taken it upon yourself to just come together, being in the diaspora, having your own challenges, and yet you want to help your own people?
We've realized that the government alone cannot, shoulder all these responsibilities. So as people from the region, we look back to our people and see how they are suffering. They are lacking so many things. And for us, we see ourselves as being fortunate over there.
Right.
So we look back and say, well, how can we help them? How can we alleviate the problems? That is why we meet every year in US or Canada. We organize ourselves, raise funds, and bring it home.
The community is that big?
It's very big. Wow. We have about 14 chapters. When we say chapters, we have cities that have the Bono and Ahafo associations. So all the chapters come together under this umbrella called Kobana, the council.
Right.
And it's very big, very big.
Traditionally, what's the link, the Bono, the Ahafos? What's the history to it?
Now, there are two different tribes, but after independence, they were brought together as one administrative religion. Right. But now it's split again.
And even based
Bono,
on the creation of
the Bono side
region,
is even split into Bono East and the Bono.
But now, given what's happening, are you going to be spreading the development across all the three newly created administrative regions? Because that will be a challenge for you, Chairman.
That is a big challenge because now we have three regions. Whatever you do, you have to at least share it among the regions.
For the three.
So, and that's what we are doing. That's why he said for the incubators, we are sending one to Bono, one to Ahafo, and one to Bono East.
Because now you have three areas to deal with. How do you work closely with the traditional authorities in this area? Because there are tourism potentials as well. Do you bring sometimes foreigners to experience that part of the country?
Yeah, I quite remember I came down with two doctors, white, they were white, and sent them to Domahinkru. We went to Nana Ajimambadu, and they went around the hospitals, inspecting them and finding out what they needed to work in the hospitals. And it worked out very good for us. We have friends and other organizations that we normally fall onto. We have an organization called Project Cure. They also help us a lot. In Ohio, we have another organization there that actually gave us some beds, hospital beds, hydraulic beds that were brought to the Sunyani Hospital.
So quite a lot happening. And this year you say you're organizing. Instead of having this homecoming abroad, you're bringing it back home. Mr. Bahin, what's happening in the region?
You know, we realized that after staying there, organizing ourselves, we want to bring our activities closer to our people, for them to know what we are doing, and more importantly, for them to get involved in it. That's why this year we decided to come home, and that is the Homecoming Summit. And we are starting a week-long program, starting on the 22nd to the 29th. And
all indigents of Bono and the Ahafo areas.
Even those who are not members of...
We're also invited.
Everybody's...
We'll definitely come.
Even people who are not members of the association are coming. And we are trying about 100 people to come down to meet, our traditional leaders, our politicians, and we've done a whole lot of programs. And like we said, it's been done in all the three regions.
Right.
You go to Goso, Techiman, and then Sunyani.
So all the activities will be split there, or what do you intend to do about it?
Yeah, we will have a health walk in Goso. That will be the first.
That will be the first
one.
Okay.
Then we have a soccer tournament in Techiman. Then when we come to Sunyani, we have a cleanup. We are planning in conjunction with the Queen Mother of the town, and we are going to have a big and massive cleanup in Sunyani. Then the climax of the whole program will be the fundraising dinner dance. That will be on the 27th of May, and it's going to be very big. The Vice President has graciously accepted to come.
The Vice President will be there?
Yeah, he's going to be the keynote speaker. We've invited many traditional leaders, politicians, businessmen. We all want to sit down and try to raise funds for a specific purpose.
Chairman, am I wrong to say that you've produced quite some significant political figures as well from the Bono region?
I know. At least you brought one prime minister.
Oh, wow, amazing. So there's a deep history to it. But now this year you're focusing on the healthy living of your people. That's the theme for the anniversary or the homecoming that you're doing. Why health, by the way, and why should health be the priority?
If you take, for example, people on dialysis from the three regions, they all have to travel to Kumasi to have this, and at times the money is not there for them to come.
There's no dialysis machine, for instance?
In Sunyani. or in Goso or in Techiman. So what we've decided is that this year, all the monies that we will get, we will build a dialysis center and an oncology center too, combined. And that is our aim, to have the money to do it. So we are appealing to all charitable organizations, philanthropists, anybody who can help.
Even you.
Yeah, definitely. I should be part of this. I should be part of it. Yeah. Also, yes, precisely.
You know, we've chosen a team for the event,
right?
And it's the health of our people is our concern. And you know that the health of your people should and will always be a concern, because if you are over there and you are just enjoying your life and look back,
you'll come home one day.
It's sometimes we are going to retire here, but sometimes when you go to our hospitals and you see the state of things there, it gives you a concern. That is why we chosen this team. So he said we are bringing some professionals, medical professionals, to undertake free medical outreach.
Okay, so they'll be coming from the U.S.?
Yeah, from the U.S.
They're already here.
They're already here.
Right.
And they will do it at Beyond Contact free. They are not going to charge anybody. And I think it's very good.
Okay, so those watching us now, they can join.
Yeah, people have registered.
Okay.
And they are going to do it.
So this will be a free screening for everyone?
Well, we have to go through screening.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then they will do it.
Okay, aside the dialysis that you're seeking to harness, to raise funds and to provide for the region, are you reaching out to other institutions, maybe political leaders, just to draw their attention to the challenges within your region?
Yes, we've been even the chiefs around. I remember Nana Jambadu gave us $5,000.
Oh, this is the paramount chief of the
Doma traditional area. He gave us $5,000 to help us to do things for the people, because he knew we were doing our best. We've talked to some political leaders, but at times there's this change of government, and then things slack back a bit. But we are doing our best to consult all of them, contact them, and see how best they can help support.
Yeah, if I can add, one of the events for the week is meeting our politicians.
Oh, it's part of the activities you have?
Yeah, that will be on the Tuesday in the afternoon.
Right.
We've written to the NDC, we've written to the MPP that they should come and let's sit down and see where things are not going right and how we can help. So we are hoping that these leaders will come and we will all sit down, we dialogue, we think about the regions and see how we work together can help.
But all of this will not be complete if you don't network with the youth. Are you creating opportunities for them? How are you factoring them into your whole plan?
Yeah, over there we have our youth branch.
Okay.
Where when we meet at every convention, they also have DS Sunlight alongside them. They are helping. But over here, we are here to link with the youth here.
Oh, I see. Any message for those who are watching us now, those who are even from the Bono or halfway areas, who are even in Accra? Some of them are here in Accra. Any message for them? I'll start off with you, Chairman. And
we want to build the nation, Ghana. And for that matter, the Bono, the Ahafo, and the Bono East. So if you are watching us, please come and help us. Donate something. It might save a life.
What I'll add is that we are appealing to, we invited some people, others we don't know them, but yet the invitation is open. Let's all come together on the 27th and let's try to raise funds to help our regions. If even you are not from the region, but you have a heart for the region, you are invited. So through this medium, we are saying that everybody should come so that we all together can do something, so that tomorrow, when we are not there, posterity will not be
And I guess it's believed that the center of the world is within definitely. So it's part of the advantages you have. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us in studio.
We also want to thank you for the platform.
Definitely grateful. And now let's talk about this, because to teach her pupils, a frustrated teacher who had no chalkboard at all to write after strong winds actually carried away a chalkboard she bought for her class, decided to be innovative. So Matilda Dasola started what she calls air writing. She gestures in the air, and her pupils also write down what they see the teacher doing. But how effective is this? In today's episode of Ghana's School of Shame, Jojo Kobna takes you to Kantu DA Primary School in the Wild West District, where teachers say they lack basic learning tools, which frustrates them.
Strong winds and heavy rains pulled down a madhouse structure that served as a classroom in Kantu, a community in Wild West District of the Upper West region. The chalkboards were also destroyed. About 3 classes were forced to relocate under a tree. So the teacher in Primary 2, Matilda Dasola, tried to get another chalkboard, but that one was also carried away by another strong wind. Frustrated, she organized a PTA meeting, but the parents are yet to raise enough funds to buy plywood for the chalkboards.
There was a time we called for PTA, so they raised some small amount. But looking at it, it will not reach all the classrooms, and it's not each person that removed the money, it's the whole community. So we are still appealing to add more, so that we can get some plywood, and so that we'll be managing for the meantime.
Matilda has started something called air writing. This simply means gesturing in the air for pupils to write.
To write the letter A, slant the number 1 to the left and extend another number to the right. Now, join the 2 lines horizontally.
So this is our A. A B, enter. Enter.
Writing in the air for pupils to write is not only stressful, but also ineffective.
With this our condition is very difficult, because assuming I was having all the facilities, I wouldn't have been struggling as I'm struggling. I would have just showed it, there would have been some objects. I'll even show that this is that. And
don't they have my first copy book or the phonetic writing?
Nothing, they don't have.
They don't have what?
They don't have my first copy. There was a time we requested for, like, the parents to come and they said they don't have money.
Kweku was unable to write the letter F, but Matilda did not give up on him.
Kweku, karamanu entofon ekowa. E wonto. Ale ngwara ka vaga abinyale aka alumbo. F sangbara. Fa ma fa to aka sanso. Ento na fa to sanso. From our F.
Numeracy lessons are quite easy. The children learn addition by counting stones.
Good.
Children without books also write in the sand.
Number 2. Number 3. Number 4.
It is the reason why the numbers here are also not encouraging. The pupils rather prefer farming to school because of the school environment. One of the children, Asonta, confesses that coming to school is no longer fun because they do not have a school building and enough teachers.
At school, during the
rainy season, we miss many classes. We cannot study. The teachers don't come to school when it rains, so we are not happy.
The headmistress of Kantu DA Primary School says they have been trying to get their pupils motivated, but they are currently at their wits' end.
The environment is not welcome. No blackboards. We are sitting under the trees and there are no blackboard for the teachers to use and teach.
The only classroom block in good condition also had its roof ripped off. Members of the community say they had renovated the roof twice already, and now want government to renovate it this time around.
We roofed the building ourselves. We bought the wood and the roofing sheets. We cannot afford the expensive roofing sheets, so we bought cheaper ones. Unfortunately, it is always ripped off by the strong wind. We beg the government to come and fix this problem.
In 2015, the government decided to build a new classroom block for Kantu, but it was abandoned after the 2016 elections. Although the building has been roofed, the blockwork high up the building has almost detached from the rest of the structure, and it is also badly slanted. It can collapse anytime soon. This is an emergency and should not be ignored. A non-governmental organization in the northern region focused on education, School for Life, organized residents of Kantu to form a club to address the needs of the school. Under its citizen-led actions for educational accountability responsiveness projects in Ghana, members of the club have written letters to the Wild West District Assembly, but so far, nothing has been done.
We vote all the time, but there is no development. It seems we only exist to vote. We have problems in this school and our community, but they have not been solved. Next time, we will not vote. We want our children to go to school because we believe our educated children will solve the challenges in this community.
The members of the club promised to buy blackboards for the school, but want government to finish up the building so the children can move in.
So a blackboard, don't make one support. We had planned to move our children into the uncompleted building so they can study there. The plan was to buy chalkboards into the classroom, but the contractor says we cannot move in. We have to contribute to buy chalkboards for our children. We cannot wait for the government. But they must come and finish up this building.
With the government doing very little, the people in Siru, also in the Wild West District, have decided to do more.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Firstly, the school started with a pupil teacher called Monica. She started a KG class after completing the Wild Polytechnic. She did not receive a salary, but taught for 3 years before GES recognized the school in 2008. When the school got a new headmistress, Monica quit teaching to start a farming business. The headmistress, Dondoma Mary, organized a community to aid the school. The community members constructed sheds to house the children. Some students from the University of Development Studies also came to the community to do voluntary work. They organized the community and cut down some trees and designed benches and tables for the pupils.
They were out to help deprived areas with schools with difficulties. So when they approached us, our major challenge was furniture. First, I had to carry packing case from Wa to this place with the help of a motoking, with the help of my PTA chairman in the community. And that was what the students were using. Packing case, like car packing cases and those ones. So when they came and saw the children in that mood, they were touched. Then they met the community, and together with the community, they fell down some dawa tree. Then with that one, they used and they created these benches for us.
Siru DA Primary School does not benefit from the school feeding program, so the community donated groceries from their farms to feed their children. The ladies in the town take turns cooking for the children daily.
When I came and I sat our first meeting, they made me know that because the children were young and they could easily get hungry, they decided as a community to contribute foodstuffs. That is, after harvest, they could contribute maize. At least each household could contribute 10 bowls of maize.
So how do they pay the people who cook?
They don't pay them. It's a voluntary work.
But anytime it rains, schooling here virtually comes to an abrupt end. Community members say they have done their best but want governments to build a permanent school structure for them.
Government teacher hen ban kuti banan ba yar ja kuti kanan tun wa eblate tenan so ba ma aku TDC ambia obun office so chere na ba wan yar ja ayi ben lo boring.
Unfortunately, the Wild West District Assembly is cash-strapped.
They themselves have seen that the challenges within the center are numerous, and so what do they can't sit aloof and not doing something. So I try that much of it, where we hear that a community is doing that, we want to support, to serve as an example to the other communities to emulate. Because if we are waiting for resources from the assembly and they are not coming, but in the meantime, what do we do to secure that our children should have something that they can rely on? The assembly normally budget, like in terms of IGF, to generate about 158,000. We never got all the 158,000 within a year. It's challenging.
This means for any drastic positive change to happen in a district, the central government would have to invest heavily in education infrastructure. There's a clear link between infrastructure and quality education. The Ghana Education Service knows it all too well.
Feel very, very bad. Even at times, very difficult for you to visit some of the schools. Because we have seen the situation. If there had been maybe an individual issue, that one we can do. But the case is not like that. The BE's performance is lower. Very, very low.
What's the performance
in terms of performance?
Until government invest heavily in education, the outcome will always be poor in the Wild West District. Jojo Kopna, JoyNews.
And very touching images there. Jojo Kopna, the man behind that story, is here with us. I thought I had seen it all, but this is unbelievable. I mean, I just can't imagine this. Writing in the air, that's what's happening in our schools now?
Yes, air writing. When I saw it, I was actually very shocked. Okay, so it was in person.
Yeah.
When I was interviewing the woman, preliminary interviews, and then she said, oh, so I do air writing. And I was like, what is air writing? Then she demonstrated, and I was like, wow. And you can see that the communities, the teachers, they are very committed to their work. They really want to support the children. They really want to, and the children too are eager to learn. But the infrastructure deficits, all these amenities not there, really frustrates them. And so sometimes a teacher would have to, they just really tell you that they have to really psych themselves before they even come to school. Yeah. And when they get there, they don't have this, they don't have this. They have to put themselves in order and then make sure that their children to feel motivated enough to learn. And it's a lot. It's actually a lot, because we just need blackboards, you just need exercise books, you just need A4 sheets, and then my first copy books. I mean, those were the books that we used to use when we were children.
And what's been the challenge in the case of particularly the Kantu DA Primary School?
The biggest challenge, you know, in 2015, government started building a school block for them. The block started, and unfortunately, when government changed hands, the project stalled. Until date, the structure is there. The children can easily move in, but unfortunately, there's a major crack at the top. So it has to be repaired. They have to fix the school so the children can go there. So since 2015, a project that started has not been completed, and the children are eagerly waiting to enter those classrooms. So the immediate need, if governments can quickly run to the place and finish that school, and then get them.
So the project is already underway.
It's already there.
All that's needed now.
Or is to finish, to plaster, to make sure that finishing touches, so the children can easily go there and then benefits. And then with that, they can even do the chalkboards close to the walls, and so they wouldn't need to buy plywoods and all that. And with this, I mean, at least some small money can fix it. Because when you see that the whole structure is already done, so it's just plastering and making sure that they have doors, they have windows, and then that's it. And then the flooring to make sure that screening is done, and then the furniture, and the children are good to go. And so, government should really do something about it,
You've been
because it's really
speaking to
frustrating.
the education directorate, and those who work there. Why is government not acting on this?
You know, when we listened to the coordinating director of the WA West, he said the whole year they budgeted, they wanted to raise funds, IGF. They planned to raise 158,000. They couldn't even raise 100,000. There is no way to raise money. It's a very poor district, and so there's no way that they can tax people. It's very difficult. I mean, they've been trying to be innovative as possible, but there is no money. So it's just the District Assembly Common Fund that can really push them. And WA West, if you look at that particular district, is very wide and very large, and the community is very, very, very deprived. So many needs, so many problems, and so where to prioritize? And education is not the only thing. People are crying for water, people are crying for many other things, health facilities, many other facilities. So it is funding. Funding is the biggest challenge there.
But this feeds into this whole story that you've been telling, painting the image of what the status of our education is at the basic level in some of the regions across Ghana. What is this laytest add-on pointing to, and what's your personal reflection on some of the institutions you've visited so far?
You know, when you're out there filming, it gets to the point you become very depressed about it, because you see the magnitude of the issue. It's so much. I mean, the statistics: 1.2 children without furniture, who are sitting on the floor, and then the buildings are in very terrible state, and then you see that the children have no books, no textbooks, so you wonder, okay, where do we really start from? Because the problem is big, and it's more like trying to shake a baobab. You know, it's very difficult. Like, where do we really start from? But if government is really committed to it, and government says we have to solve this particular problem, I know that the problem will be solved. Because it is having a plan and saying that, okay, within 5 years we're going to do this, we're going to invest XYZ money into this, and then make sure that, and there are so many corporate institutions that will be willing to actually provide furniture, and kind-hearted people who will be providing furniture. And so this story, I pray that corporate organizations will see it, and then they will come through and say, let's help them, because we can't wait for government.
And that's why I'm interested in the community itself, the source of economic activity, and why we're not seeing bodies such as the parent-teacher organizations, the associations, and the youth of the area come through to say, okay, we'll finish this up.
You see, the people are farmers, and they're not really doing any large-scale farming. Doing something very small. This was exactly the question I posed to one of the parents, which will come next week. But let me just.
So there's more even coming out.
There's more coming next week. So I asked the PTA chairman, why are you not supporting your children in school? And then he looked at me and then he laughed and he told me, who built the school? He said, we built the schools. We were the people who started the school, built the school, brought teachers before government eventually brought teachers.
So the school was started out of community
initiative. And then the man said, but times have changed. Things are very hard. Then he told me a story that I was shocked. He said the son asked him for 50 pesos to buy sweets. And he said he had no money. Because he had no money, he yelled at the son. And then when the son left, he said when the son left, he cried. He said he cried and he said, my son just wanted 50 pesos. I only yelled at him because I wanted him to get away. But it spoils my mood the whole day. So what the man was saying is that they do not have the money, they do not have the resources. And this is the same school where many children are not even in the classroom because they are hungry. And that is Kpandu. That is a story for next week and next week's episode of Ghana Schools of Shame, where you get to see how even school feeding is actually impacting attendance of school. And it's a problem. And especially with very, very poor communities. And if you look at the Ghana Statistical Service, you look at the demographics of WA West, it's not a very rich community. It's not.
Anyway, so if there's a message to those who can help, what would you say?
the children are really out there. They are eager to learn. They are eager to make something for themselves. Unfortunately, it is because of where they were born. And so if anyone wants to help, the person is welcome to help. Schools, book supplies, many other things, and then we can actually send them to the children to make the children smile so that they can be productive, they learn, and then they can be someone, create a very meaningful impact in society. And so I really plead with all the people who are watching that they should do something about this.
Jojo Kobina, thank you. And we'll be looking forward to the next episode next week.
Next week, yes.
Okay, it's coming up here on the JoyNews channel. You don't want to miss that. But majority of people infected with rabies in the Ashanti region are dog owners who suffered dog bites. There's more in this report for you.
The environment is not welcome.
Let's bring in Ohimin Teria, who is joining us via Zoom. Ohimin, just before we get to the details of it, because we're running out of time, just tell us more about those recent findings that we're hearing of. Ohimin. Ohimin Teria, can you hear me? It appears we're having some challenges there. Moving to Ohimin Teria. We'll definitely work on the connection and get Ohimin Teria. You're watching The Pulse here on the JoyNews channel. We'll be right back.
Decided to build a new classroom block
You're welcome back. Majority of people infected with rabies in the Ashanti region are dog owners who suffered dog bites. The region recorded 12 fatal cases last year, with 4 of them recorded in the last quarter. Unfortunately, the cost of rabies vaccines and apathy among dog owners is in actually vaccinating their dogs means many dogs are left unvaccinated. Over 6,000 dogs actually being targeted in an anti-rabies vaccination exercise in the Osonji district of the areas noted for high incidences of dog bites in the region. Let's get more from Ohimin Teria, who's joining us once more. Ohimin, what can you report from where you are?
Thank you, Blessed. Rabies infection in the Ashanti region is a big deal. If you look at the statistics from the Ghana Health Service, last year, for instance, the veterinary service picked 77 specimens, and out of the 77, 38 tested positive, meaning that 38 of those cases were rabies cases, and 43 humans were involved. So the explanation we are getting from the veterinary service is that a dog can't bite as many as 2 or 3 persons at a time. So out of the 38 cases that were recorded in the region, 12 of them died in the last quarter of 2022 alone. So this year, with the support of a UK-based organization, Mission Rabies, Ghana Health Service, together with the veterinary services, have hit communities in the Bosomtwe district, one of the most endemic communities with rabies cases in the region, to vaccinate over 6,000 dogs. So what the team is doing right now is moving from house to house, more or less doing a house-to-house campaign to vaccinate dogs and cats. Though cats are involved, but majority of those animals that are being vaccinated are dogs. When I spoke to the regional veterinary officer, Dr. Mabel Abudu, she did indicate that the exercise will continue between today and 26th of this month. So it's a 2-week exercise, and that patrons will benefit from this exercise at no cost. But she is equally unhappy that many of the residents in the region are apathetic to vaccinating their pets, especially when it comes to dog and cats. So she believes that because the cost of the vaccines, many people are shying away from vaccinating their dogs. And she's also calling on the residents to take advantage, especially those in the Bosomtwi areas, to vaccinate their dogs. My checks from the Ghana Health Service did indicate that as of last year, 103 dog bite cases were recorded at few health facilities in the Bosomtwi district. And according to the district health director, Dr. Timothy Chumesi Mensah, he says many of the cases ended up in the Kumasi metropolitan area because some of the areas or communities in the district do seek health care from Kumasi, and he believes that it is as a result of this that many of the cases were not recorded. Even at the beginning of this quarter, 23 of such cases have been recorded in the region, with 2 fatal deaths. So health officials are equally alarmed that fatalities involving rabies is very high, between 84% and 98%. So they are asking residents in the communities where the exercise is happening to take advantage of the exercise and vaccinate their dogs.
So for now, how about those who've been infected? Is the health service taking any action on this?
For those who are infected by rabies, the only alternative is to go to the hospitals to seek being vaccinated from these human rabies vaccines. And that is also another area that is very expensive. So the vaccines itself, before the dog is infected, is expensive, but it's affordable. But when human beings are involved, when human beings are infected by rabid dogs, that treatment alone is expensive. So those who are infected are being helped by the Ghana Health Service. But don't forget, before one gets infected, the dogs will be taken care by the veterinary service. But once an individual, human beings, get infected, then it is left at the doorsteps of the Ghana Health Service personnel to take care of those persons. And I must say that people I have seen to have been infected by rabies, they bark in the same way as dogs bark. And they exhibit a kind of characteristics very common in dogs. So health officials are alarmed, and they want residents in the region to take advantage of the presence of the veterinary service in the various districts to vaccinate their dogs, or those in Bosomtwi district to take advantage of the ongoing mission rabies exercise to vaccinate their dogs at no cost.
Grateful, Himinteria, for bringing us the latest from the Ashanti region. We'll definitely follow up on that story for you. But it's not always that the Chief of Defence Staff takes up a corporate social responsibility task, and also to make sure that it is executed to perfection. But that's exactly what the current Chief of Defence Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, Vice Admiral Seth Muhammad, is doing. My colleague Frank Walanyo has been interacting with him.
We are moving towards abolishing the death sentence. And so we are introducing people to have faith in Christ. You never know, your death sentence will be committed to life imprisonment, and you may be pardoned, just like our colleague who went on death row and had experience was pardoned. And so if you are pardoned and you come, you must not be a destitute. You must learn a trade, a skill, so that one day you come out, you have a living, you will not become a destitute, no hope in life, and then you will be forced to even go and commit more offense and go back. So we want to give them skills. It is something that we are doing for our families, wives, children. We do it across all garages to give them some skills training. And what we have done, we see is very, very beneficial to the families. So we are extending similar skills training.
Have you engaged some of the inmates on your visit to buy into probably what state of mind some of them are in, knowing very well that you are on death row at any time? Probably they could come for you and then execute you. What is the state of mind of such individuals when you go on, when you talk to them?
We interact. As I
is it
said,
stressful on them? Is it difficult?
The condition in which they find themselves, they live, you know, itself, it's very challenging. And so we try to bring them some relief, but interacting with them, they see that that project brings them hope, you know, that there is a possibility, you know, that you may be pardoned, and then you can come out and things like that. But the inmates appreciate the work that the Men's Fellowship is doing so much to bring them a little comfort. Otherwise, their condition is very challenging. You can imagine so many prisoners in a very small cell. You know, no fan, nothing, and then you just go and put a small fan to give, you know, some little comfort. The work that Men's Fellowship, you know, is not done in isolation. It's done in consultation with the prison officers. They are living with them, and so they know their critical needs. Nti yani omo din kita ho a omo HSO adewe ya dia mo yama prisoners na ebeboa omo. Nti omo na the proposal no ba na ya ho ntoboa na de akoboa. The funding for such projects are made from voluntary contributions made by the Men's Fellowship and then supported by the Ghana Armed Forces. It's not very large sums. We wish that we could do more, and so that is why we are appealing to public-spirited individuals and organizations to come on board so that we can expand the work to cover all other prisons beyond Nsawam prisons. That is what the next stage of the project is, to do more, including providing legal aid to some of them. You know, some of them, their cases, because they didn't have any legal aid, they are condemned. Their cases could be reviewed. So legal aid is something. And then still, as Christians, we want to preach Christ to them. So we solicit Christian literature for them, and then also regularly give them some food items to improve the ration. But as you mentioned, skills training, you know, they can do some products that they can sell to improve upon their condition or upon their food and all that.
Soldiers are known to be very aggressive people.
Yes.
Because of the nature of your training and what you immediately might be called to do. We are not known to be spiritual. That aspect of you is because if I come across a soldier, I'm always like, hey, even coming into Bema camp, somebody was like, you are going to Bema camp? I'm saying yes, but are you spiritual? Let me ask that question.
The general impression is that soldiers are, you know, by the nature of their training, they are very regimental. They are trained to kill in defense of their country. That's what the soldiers are trained to do, to kill, to defend your country. And so people who are trained to kill, how can they be spiritual and Christian? But that impression is very wrong. Soldiers are some of the highly committed and faithful Christians. Because of the work they do, which is sacrificial, the soldier is supposed to put down his life in defense of his brother or sister. The work you do is at the peril of your life. You take an oath to defend the country by air, by sea, by land, even at the peril of your life. So soldiers do a very sacrificial work, putting down their life. And Christ said that greater love than the one who puts down his life for the sake of his brothers and sisters. And for me, coming from a naval background, because I apply my job at sea, and the Bible says that those who go to sea, who works on ship and work in the deep oceans, they see the wonders of God. Because out at sea, storms are raging. You get to your wit's end, and you pray to God, and then suddenly the sea comes down, and then you are brought into safe ports. So you really see how mighty, you know, the power of God if you work out at sea. Such a person who has seen, you know, dangers of the sea, soldiers who are at war front, and they see the might of the Lord. They are the ones who even worship God with all their, you know, their souls and their might. And so soldiers can be very, 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 very faithful Christians.
So I shouldn't see the soldiers and how any I shouldn't see soldiers and have any bubbles in my tummy that, hey, these people, so I should just be nice around them. And
soldiers are associated with brutalities and things like that, but I can tell you that
And that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I'm blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates there for you. We'll see you again. Bye-bye for now.